What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do some more stuff on the S15. My old man's out here as well working on his shitter, but today we are going to do an intake pipe from the turbo. So this pipe here is the factory rubber one. It looks a bit jank and I don't like it. Got a bolt holding in here, cap holding it on, stopping air leaks there. Looks a bit shit. I do like this apexy filter and the filter bracket, so I've gone and I've brought some stuff from my local store, Ripco. It's 3-inch pipe, it's a 45-degree bend, and then I got some in the box black 63 to 76 mil reducers straight, so I can utilize everything, and this should be a direct fit hopefully. We might need to cut it down, but yeah, we'll get to that now. So first, need to take all this stuff off, so take this off so I can get to this, and take that off and unbolt this from there. So I'll do that now, and then we'll pick the camera. So I've pulled all that piping off, as you can see here, and I've put rags in the intake and stuff off the turbo, just because while you're working on this kind of thing you don't want anything to get down into the turbo that could wreck the turbo fin, turbo blades, whatever you want to call them. It's not good, you don't want to damage the turbo, they're expensive. And as you can see here, I've got my airflow meter with my pixie adapter. We've got our reducers, we have our intake pipe, and basically now what I'm going to try to do is make sure that these reducers that I have brought are the right size, which hopefully they should be, and then we're going to test fit it in there. Then we're probably going to cut this down, and then we're going to scotch it, etch it and paint it so it's black and looks nice like the other piping, because I don't really want a chrome piece of pipe like this sitting in my engine bay when everything else is black. So we'll do all that now, and yeah, I'll bring you along the way. So I've got the pipe all set up inside the turbo here. So as you can see, this is our pipe. Here's our 76 to 63 reducer down in there. That goes into the front of the turbo. This one goes into the intercooler piping, back into the intake over there. As you can see, this is a bit long for these mounts here, and I want to utilize this, like I was saying, just kind of holds it all steady. So we're going to have to obviously cut this piece of piping down, so I'm just going to measure that now, get out the hacksaw, cut it down and try fit it again. So I've marked my intake with a piece of tape, and we're just going to use the grinder here to cut along this line, and we're going to refit it. I probably shouldn't cut this much off, but fuck it, oh well, we'll just send it, and then if we need to we'll trim this side, but this one I'm going to take a little bit longer, well, a little bit smaller cuts I should say, just so we don't end up ruining this piece of pipe. Also, after we cut this, we're probably going to use a file just to clean up the edges, because we don't want this to rub through our silicone joiner. So I'll cut this now and then bring you back. So you can see I've made my cut. This is hot. This is a pretty horrible cut, but you can see around here the edges of the burr and stuff like that where the grinders cut through it. So I've got a file here, and we're just gonna go around the edges like this. And just make this piece of pipe nice and smooth on the outside so it doesn't cut anything on here. And you're also going to clean out this inside edge here, because you don't want any of this going through your turbo or into your motor. So I'll do that quickly, then we'll test fit it again. So I've cleaned up the edge of my pipe now with my file, and also down in here, so it's smooth to touch, it's not hurting my finger, and around this edge here. So now we're going to have a good smooth surface that isn't going to rip through our silicone joiner. Down here, this should just slide on like that. So we're going to put all this back in the car now, fit it up again and just make sure that it's the right length, and then we can scotch it down and paint it. So I've got both ends cut up now, and I've just test fitted it in the car, as you can see here. So the camera will get some better light and focus. So it's kind of hard to see, but here's my piece of alloy pipe. Obviously it's got quite short now, but it's not too bad. I've got heaps of it into this silicone joiner here, so it's going to have a really good clamping surface, and this filter is tucked right up into the pipe here, so it's only going to be about that much that it's going to have room to move. Also, if you can see, I'll grab a torch because hopeless, should have thought it was before, but torch. You can see down there I've got my bracket. I've made it so I'm going to be able to utilize that bracket, and that should hold the filter nice and steady because I don't want it to be rocking around. It is getting a bit tight down in there, but you kind of want this to be as far away from heat as possible because you don't want it to heat soak, so it's not too bad that it's tucked right down in there. So I'm going to pull this out now, going to clean it up, we're going to etch it, and we're going to paint it black so it matches everything else. So I just rummaged around through my drawers of handy dandy stuff and found this piece of grey Scotch-Brite. So we're going to use this to scotch down our piece of metal here. I'm just going to take the shine off it, as you can see there, and then we're going to grab a can of etch primer and we're just going to spray a light coat over this. So I've got my pipe all scotched up now. You can see it here. You can see I've got rid of all the shininess on the pipe, so the etch primer should stick really good. I don't actually have any old rags at the moment, so I've got microfibers. It's a pretty expensive rag, but fuck it, I need to use something, so I'm just going to use some fucking brake clean, give this a bit of a spray and clean it down. Just so, turn it over, do the same thing on this side, just because I want my dirty finger greasy prints off it. So set this up here in my little paint booth I've got set up so I don't get overspraying all my shit. Etch primer. And you only need to put a light coat of the stuff on, it doesn't need to be too good, so just a bit of a coat over this thing like that. We'll let this side dry and then I'll do the other side, and then we'll use our black. So I've hit my piece of pipe with the etch primer. It's just drying in my makeshift booth. So as you can see here in the Cuzzy Customs booth, we've got our piece of pipe, it's got etch primer on it. You see it's pretty not covered, but with etch primer you don't need to prime it so that it's like completely covered. You can leave it see-through like this and it'll stick just as well. You can see I've got in these edges as well, all around the piece of pipe here, so let's let that tack off for a little bit longer and then we'll hit it with our black. This is what I used for the intercooler piping over here because I'll put a photo in, but this engine bay used to actually have a blue rocker cover and this piping was alloy. Alloy piping and stuff looks really good, but it's a lot of work to keep it looking clean and fresh, so I always choose to just paint it black because it's so easy to do, and I reckon it just looks a wee bit cleaner if you're a bit lazy in tidying your engine bay like me. So yeah, we'll let this tack off and then hit it with the black. So I just put the first coat on, we'll leave that to dry, tack off, we'll turn it around and then we'll paint the other side. Here it is, all fresh. You don't really need to cover everything on the first layer because you don't want to get it too wet and make it bubble or drip. I I went a little bit heavy in my opinion on the first coat just then, but I haven't painted anything in a while, so that was always going to happen. But yeah, so you're probably going to have to do like 2 coats minimum on the whole thing to get it to be nice and black. So yeah, don't rush it, like don't try hit it in one go because it'll turn to shit. So yeah, just take your time with this kind of thing, because in my opinion it's all these little details that make your car look better, you know, like you want your car to stand out. People go, oh wow, that's done nicely. So if you take a little bit of time now, it just makes everything look so much better later on. So I've done my second coat on my piece of pipe here, and I'm just letting it tack off. You can see it's like a nice sort of satiny black colour. This is the same colour that I used to paint the other intercooler piping, so once it dries it should match nicely, and then we can fit it back into our car over here and make sure that all these are super tight so we don't have any boost leaks or intercooler piping pop off, and be good to go. So my piece of pipe is all painted and dry now, as you can see here, and put this on the ground. This is our old intake pipe, this rubber ugly thing here, so this is what we're getting rid of at the moment. You can see that it's had a few vacuum ports and stuff blocked off, which just looks a bit shit, and these are also known, because it gets really hot from the turbo, to melt. So by putting this in here with some silicone joiners, we probably shouldn't have any problems later on with this melting. So we'll put this back in the car now and then show you guys what it looks like. So I've just finished putting my car back together, and here it is here. So you can see down here, here's our new intake pipe. Was able to make this bracket down here, you can see it down in there. Behind that, hold this apexy housing again still. Couldn't use this one from there to there because it wasn't long enough, but as you can see, it's not going anywhere. It's a bit of a tight fit in here, but everything fits up again, and I'm happy with how it came out, because it looks way cleaner, and we're not going to have any issues with that old janky one leaking or melting. And this too, being bigger and stainless, should actually give us some nice flutter noises from the turbo, which is always good. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and if you have any questions just comment below or hit me up on Instagram and I'll be happy to help you out.